Hello, students. How's it going? I am sending you an email. I decided to come to work today and get caught up before the year starts. I guess I'm work done. But I wanted to send you guys an email of the leadership selection changes, and I thought it'd be really good to send it to you guys during the summer so you guys can check it out, digest it, see what ideas we have, and then come to school with questions and all that stuff. All right, so let's get to it. Want to give you some background information on why these changes were taking place, and because I think a lot of students want to know the why, right? So let's start with our mission statement, which is constantly evolving and finessing to be the team of who we want to be. Okay. Um, all right. So I think we did some changes to the mission statement. One is to create a team where students can learn in a positive and healthy way. I'm going to talk about that more at the beginning of the year because really the most important thing is that things are positive and healthy and satisfying. um, Things should not be negative on this team for anybody, any team members. That includes students through the mentors to the managers to volunteers, everybody. All right, but I want to focus on the second one right here. Participate in the first robotics competition and attempt to take first place in Einstein field at the first FRC World Championships. I've actually made its own separate slide for it, and it's quite interesting that we didn't have this in our mission statement, but it always really was our mission. We were always trying to go first place. In fact, this every team was trying to go first place. This was our mission statement before we even had this mission statement. We were trying to win and take first place. And so we finally put it into words and put it in the writing. And this putting it in the writing is really going to drive a lot of things that we do, and it's going to drive some decisions that we make, right? Um, Now, I do want to say that we are very specific here. We are attempting to take first place at Einstein Field. Just imagine that team and that robot. What is the first place team at Einstein Field? You know, guys, we may never get there. That's fine. Again, we're going to strive for this in a healthy, positive way. We may get there though. But still, and I want to emphasize this, not at the expense at the components of the team that are student led, right? That will never change. There's a lot of first place teams at Einstein Field that are not student led, and I don't. Maybe it's not even possible. Who knows? But I think it is. Okay, we can be student led and take first place. We're going to work towards it. All right. Okay. Another background info. All right, let's discuss important subset of the team. Now, for you guys to remember correctly, the team is comprised of three groups: the students, the mentors, and the team managers or the owners of the team. So we have to have all three of those to succeed. Okay, what do the coaches, mentors, and team managers want? They want coach players on how to win and succeed with satisfaction by all team members, right? So let's say, well, there's some experience on how to win, and that's what they want to do, right? What do mentors and managers don't want? They don't want to come in. We don't want to come in and make the same mistakes. Okay, let's say we made a mistake last year, but we don't want to make that same mistake. We want to learn and improve and do something better. However, let's say we made a mistake 5 years ago. It was really not the institutional knowledge of students. No student was here 5 years ago. Let's say we made a mistake back in 2019. We would like to come in and say, you know what, we shouldn't do it that way because we've already made that mistake and we've already learned this. That's the point of this team, is to learn and improve. Unfortunately, the institutional knowledge with students is maximum 4 years. I mean, there's very few students that are 4 years. Most of them are like a veteran student. It's like 2 to 3 years, right? So that's where the coaches fit in and the team managers, is how to um, carry on the knowledge of the team. Mentors and managers do not want to be mere supervisors. That's a clear one. And a mere supervisor would be someone who just opens the door to the shop, come on in, get to work, and I'll just sit here and you guys can do whatever you want. I think if that was the job of coaches, mentors, I'm saying coaches and mentors in terms of synonymously, and team managers, then a lot of them would probably move on. Let's say I told Jerry or Mornay or even me, like, hey, don't help him out. Just just open a door for them and bring them sandwiches and give them rides, they'd be like, "That's not what I'm here for," right? We would lose a lot of mentors. Um, Okay, next bullet point. Let me move my face here. Is that many mentors have been on a team or an FRC for many more years than student have. That's just kind of a fact. I mean, um, let's see. Sonny's been on an FRC related for like decades. Jerry, gosh, going on 7, 8 years. More name, maybe the same, 8, 9. Next year is going to be my 10th year. So there's a lot of experience. I'd say there's pretty high knowledge on how to win. Okay. And it's not because we're smarter than guys. In fact, many of you guys are smarter than me. But if some of you were on this FRC team for 10 years, you would know how to win. And it's just a matter of the time. Um, so I want to emphasize something, and that is that we don't have it down perfectly. We are constantly learning, right? And that's why we're changing things. That's why we always improve and change things for the better. In fact, we learn from you guys. Students come up with the best ideas. A lot of the ideas we've had in this team were brought up by Bobby Smith 7 years ago, right? And Susan, whoever. I'm just making up names, okay? And they were like, "Yeah, that's a good idea. We should learn that and remember." But you're not going to be here, so we're carrying this on. All right. So that's what coaches, mentors, team managers want. Um, so that was a little background info. What leaders do we want on the team? One word, and that is coachable. That is the most important, valuable trait that you can have. And this is from the handbook right here. I'll just go straight to the handbook. This has been in the handbook for years. This is not new. This is probably about 3 years old. Above and beyond all specific duties shown below, all the roles here are spelled out in the handbook. Check it out. Students who apply to lead positions endeavor to be coachable. I've highlighted it in bold in their fields. Coachable is as important, if not at times more important, than absolute skill or knowledge. Right? Uh, Folks, I've had maybe some freshmen on a team who are like, you know what? Next year you could be captain. I mean, you have the work habits, you have the temperament, you have the critical thinking skills, you have the leadership qualities to lead our students to be captain. I and the mentors could show you everything else, right? So coachable is probably the biggest trait to have, and that's really important. Okay, let me go through the pros and cons of our current leadership selection process, and then I'm going to describe the changes to you guys. Pros: usually good, proper leaders were selected. This is true. Students knew, not always, but almost, who were the best suited for the job. And so I think students would, let's go through, just let me randomly scroll somewhere. Okay, software director. Here is the description of the software director. And by and large, students would pick the right student to do these jobs. Let's say I'm going to pick something. Ensures proper continuous education training software group as full engagement, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They pick the right students. Okay. On occasion, it might have been a little bit of popularity contest, and let's say someone didn't have the skills here, but they were, I don't know, popular or charismatic within the group. But by and large, you guys, the students throughout the years, you guys and previous students picked the right person. And this is one of the main reasons why, in fact, we haven't changed the leadership selection process because I've been, the right person for the job is being selected. Um, and this has been for years. We've discussed changing this, but I'm like, it seems like the right students are being picked. So, okay. All right. So here's the cons. Let's talk about this. Some leaders, and this is few, but some leaders didn't follow their leadership roles or did them poorly, then worked on what they really wanted to do. So it seemed like someone would apply for, let's just go right here. I'm going to make hardware director. They had in mind what the hardware director did. This was spelled out. All this stuff was spelled out, but they had their own idea of what the hardware director did, and they wouldn't do it. They would either just not do one of these things, or they would do it poorly and do something else, right? Um, let's say I'm gonna go to someone. Let's say scouting app. Okay, they let's say the scouting app lead was doing the scouting app, but they in reality really wanted to do some other programming. So they would do this somewhat poorly and then quickly go off and do something else. And then we go up like, hey, where's the scouting app? And then so it was like the person maybe wanted a leadership position or, maybe thought they wanted that position, but then would not really do it. So that was an issue at times, but it definitely did occur. Some few students decide what their role is and what they want to do instead of what's listed in the job description. I kind of talked about that. And some of the few students were just not coachable. Um, and again, this is not a large amount, but it was a few students. It was a few students who would be like, "Hey, this is what this is the position does, and it's done it for years." And they'd be like, "You know what? I don't think so." And so that was problematic when students were not coachable. Okay, so other cons we've had. Um, okay, it doesn't make sense for. Well, I'll go to the second bullet point right here. It doesn't make sense for the person who is assessing quality control position not to select that person. So what we had is the students and the mentors and the team managers selected the students in a voting system, and the team managers um, and the and the mentors had about 20% of the vote, maybe 25. In some selection processes, such as the scouting, such as the strategy lead and the bid executives, that was selected by students, 100%, I believe. And it didn't make sense for students to select these positions, but for the team managers, Miss Fan and I, to assess the quality and remove people from those positions. It doesn't make sense for anybody who's going to remove a position to not pick them. Um, and that led to a lot of problems when the few times that I and Miss Fan, or if it was Miss Kep back in the day, had to remove a student, that the students would get very upset when we removed that person from that position, and it doesn't make sense for you guys to remove people from positions. You just can't do that. You're not in an accessory position to assess students and remove from positions. And that would probably create a lot of drama in the team. Like you guys got to band together and let's say remove your captain and there's going to be factions. That's not good. There needs to be someone outside a position who's assessing them. You know, teachers don't remove other teachers. That would be problematic. The principal needs to remove and pick the teachers, and that happens in every single company and every single team. And people have allegiance to the people that select them. So if they're picked by students, then their allegiance is to them, right? This was also a problem. The third one, understandably, some team members would get upset when students are removed from their leadership position. And there was a little bit of drama around that happened like even last year and in the years past. And that's just something that's just a distraction to the team. Um, Most of the time, students can't be told why. In fact, just about all the times, I've debated this. Like, oh, we're on a team, we're gonna make it public, and I don't think that's allowed. To be honest with you, I can't just send an email and be like, um, um, Bob Smith was removed because they didn't do their job, and they are not good at this and not good at that. They're okay at this, but they didn't do that, and I can't send to all students and put that student on blast. That's just not allowed. So what happens to the teams is someone gets removed and you don't know why, and you're not going to know why. And there's confidentiality in things that people do wrong. Even if they make mistakes, it's not something that is public knowledge for everybody to know. So that was a problem. So yeah, that was a big one. So based on these problems that we have, we've decided to move to a new leadership process, and that is going to be selected by the team managers, Miss Fan and Rodrigo, with consultation of various groups. Let's start with students. Students will nominate other students for positions. A student description will be noted of, the position, shall I say, and also who is not suitable for that position should be also nominated by students anonymously, of course. Students, you know a lot about who would be good for student positions. Certainly, specifically in leadership skills, communication skills, who is respected, and stuff like that. And I take student nominations very seriously, and I believe Miss Fan does as well, because I think you guys know who can get the job done, right? Not always, but you have very good ideas on certain aspects, especially You see students when we're not working on them. You see who's working, you see who's not working, and sometimes students there's been a few students be like, "Yeah, that person slacks off when teachers and mentors are not looking." And you guys know this. You see this. So, I trust your ideas. Mentor group is going to give feedback on candidates, right? So we got two groups who are going to give a lot of feedback, students and the mentor groups. Students will announce their candidacy. Okay, this is going to happen very early, and this is something that the students met with me and mentors for quite a long time, actually, last year, and that is that we need to have leaders selected early because the students didn't have enough time to get training. I agree. Um, I agree with that. We tried to have you guys select students by November, but I agree with what you guys are asking, and that is that we're gonna select the leadership selection by week 3 as school starts. So this is gonna happen really soon. Once school starts, students will announce their candidacy. You guys will give your feedback. We'll meet with the mentor group, probably have interviews, and by week 3, let's say like by the end of August, we're gonna have a software director, hardware director, control systems, vision lead, all that stuff. Okay. So, there's a new leadership process. Um, okay, this makes more sense. For years, I've been grappling with this idea of we're unique in a certain way. And more, I've seen the wisdom of why things have been done for ages and why they keep doing it that way. And so we're following a traditional team, and it seems like all traditional teams have coaches, mentors, team managers select their participants and their players. It happens everywhere from sports teams to many, and I'd say probably most FRC teams do it this way. I'm going to make up a number from what I've seen online. 75 to maybe 80% have the coaches and team managers pick the the leaders on a team, and the system has worked. It's obviously worked, and because of the fact that the coaches and managers have more years of knowledge on what that position needs to do and seeing who has followed those positions, what traits are really necessary. More on a traditional team leadership. The leadership roles will be fluid. What does that mean? Meaning that they can change, the person doing that position can change throughout the year and probably will. This is another thing that traditional teams have done quite a bit. Leadership roles will be changed, I'm reading here, on who is best to do the job for the team. Always student led. But the best student should be doing a job, and a student might be different. Okay. Let's say we have, I'll just go, let's captains. Okay. Let's pretend we had one captain for the sake of an example. We should always have the best captain. Let's say there is another student. Let's say there's another student who would make a better captain. We should change that and make the better student captain. Again, it is a student, and we should always have the best captain. We should always have the best control system lead. We should always have the best um, scouting app lead, the best etc. lead, machining lead. It should always be the best, and it should always be run by a student, right? So the roles will be fluid. This happens everywhere. Some team examples. Quarterbacks get changed all the time, sometimes in the middle of the game, right? Starting pitchers get changed all the time in baseball teams. Definitely throughout the middle of the game. Many pitchers go through, right? Whoever's the best for the job. Um, and I remember this is a second bullet point here. When I played soccer, I was in the starting lineup, but I remember my junior year, I came off the starting lineup. And that was best for the team. It was. It was best for the team that there was someone who could do the job better than me, and I did come in later. But that was something that I had to internalize, and I think it's important for our team to realize that we are going to put the best person on that job, and the roles may be fluid. And it was a growing up experience for me, and for some students, it may be like, "I'm okay, yes, put that person on the job," and others like, "That hurts, but I understand that's a growing experience for me." So um, leadership roles will be fluid. There's going to be changes throughout the year, and that is okay. That is good. And never at the expense of student led in the domain's jurisdiction of what parts are student led. Okay. Um, that's pretty much it, folks. More details will be announced when school starts up. Right now, I wanted to send this out, and in the email, I'll do a question form. I kind of want to hear your questions, because I've probably missed some important details, and that you will catch those and be like, "Oh, that's important, something to bring up." So I count on you guys to bring up the important questions. I'm sure you do that. I'll probably answer questions when school starts up, perhaps earlier in email if I have time. I'm here at work. I got to do a bunch of stuff for my engineering class and robotics, but I don't want to cramp the last moment, so I'm doing it now. But folks, it is still July 19th. There is not as less than a month, but there's still plenty of time. So keep enjoying your summer, okay? I hope you guys are all well. I am looking very forward to this year, and I'm enjoying my summer as well. So bye for now, and I'll see you guys in a few weeks.